The creation of the Marble Palace is inextricably linked to the life story of the Prussian king, Frederick William II, connected. He created his personal retreat on the Holy Lake. Prince Frederick William was the eldest son of Prince Augustus William of Prussia and Princess Louise Amalie of Brunswick-Wolfenbüttel-Bevern. His father was a younger brother of the Prussian king, Frederick the Great. His mother, a sister of Queen Elizabeth Christine of Brunswick-Wolfenbüttel-Bevern. After Frederick's marriage to Elizabeth, Christine remained childless. The prince, born on the 25th of September 1744, assumed an important position in the line of succession. A wide staircase leads with an elegant sweep to the upper floor. Smooth and shiny is the precious marble. 4 columns are crafted from it. The chandeliers and lanterns by Carl Gotthard Langhans are among the finest examples from the early neoclassical period in the Prussian palaces. One crosses the vestibule, descends a few steps, and feels transported into the world of underwater creatures. It is shady and cool here. Shells and aquatic plants adorn the walls. Mirrors multiply the play of waves outside the window. A room perfectly made for hot summer days. The idea was, at the end of the 18th century, not new. Since the Renaissance, the grotto has been one of the most popular garden elements. Here in the Marble Palace, everything is designed a bit more sparingly and intimately, not for representation, but rather for summer dining with the family. The small hall with its side serving rooms was intended. On the ceiling, visitors encounter the gods who inhabit the watery element, including Poseidon, the ruler of the seas. Exquisite wines and dishes were served to the king's visitors here. They were cooked and roasted in the court kitchen, which the architect built at the same time as the Marble Palace, but at some distance from it. The distance between the two buildings prevented the palace residents and their guests from being bothered by cooking and roasting fumes. Just like the palace, the facade of the kitchen building was oriented toward the Holy Lake. The buildings were connected by an underground passage. So the food had a relatively long way to travel from the stove to the king's table. And even though small carts were used, traces of which can still be found today, it certainly wasn't eaten as hot as it was cooked. Carl von Gotthard had built the palace kitchen in the form of a Roman temple ruin, already half submerged in the waters of the lake. Next to the vestibule, in a suite of rooms, are the parole chamber, the music room, the so-called blue lacquered chamber, and a panelled writing cabinet. In the corner cabinet, used as a writing cabinet and panelled with various woods, Frederick William II passed away on the morning of November 16, 1797. The chamber, now lacquered in white, originally had dark red walls and was intended as a parole chamber for military purposes. It received its current decoration based on an idea by Wilhelmine Enke, the mistress of Frederick William II. But apart from the wall colour and the vine leaves, nothing today remains to remind us of this arguably most important woman in the king's life. Instead, in this room, the visitor encounters the legitimate royal family. Crown Prince Frederick William II entered into a political marriage and married, on the 14th of July 1765, Princess Elizabeth Christine Ulrika of Brunswick-Wolfenbüttel. This had been ordered by his uncle Frederick the Great. The bride's father was his maternal uncle and the bride's mother was his paternal aunt. but the marriage failed. The suspicion that the princess was unfaithful to her husband made a divorce necessary. There was no heir to the throne yet, only a young daughter. Princess Frederica remained at the Prussian court and was educated among her half-siblings, while her mother was divorced by the king and exiled to Stettin. She spent the rest of her long life there. Very quickly, just a few months after the divorce, Frederick William entered into a second marriage. Once again, Frederick the Great had chosen the bride for his successor. Frederica Louisa of Hesse-Darmstadt was not particularly beautiful and was said to have a somewhat strange nature, but she finally gave birth to the longed-for heir to the throne and other children. Their later marriages brought Prussia political connections in all directions. Their portraits can be found in the parole chamber. That of the future Queen of the Netherlands, Princess Wilhelmine, Prince Heinrich, as well as Frederica, the daughter of the exiled First Queen. At 14, she was married to the Duke of York, the favourite son of the English king. Frederick William III, the successor to Frederick William, took a different path. He chose his wife himself. He married Princess Louise, who is probably the most popular queen of Prussia today. The painting depicts the prince at about 13 years of age. Although Frederick the Great attached little importance to the musical education of the heir, the latter played an instrument from early childhood. At first it was the viola da gamba. Later he learned to play the cello. Even as heir to the throne, Frederick William II maintained a private orchestra of 25 musicians, which he merged with the court orchestra after his accession to the throne. The 70 musicians formed one of the largest and best orchestras in Germany. For music making on a larger scale, there were halls in the palace. The music room served more as a practice room. Originally, the king's sheet music and cello were kept here. Frederick William II maintained contact with all the major composers and gave them commissions. Mozart and Beethoven were guests at the Prussian court. The impoverished Italian composer Luigi Boccherini and Mozart's widow were supported financially. One of his greatest achievements was to have opened the stages of the Prussian court to German-speaking poets, composers, and singers. The panelled writing cabinet is at the end of the suite of rooms on the ground floor. One thing the visitor misses in the Prussian king's study, however, is books. Nothing of the sort is to be found here or in any other room of the house. However, if you look out the window in a westerly direction, across the Heilige Sea, you see a small octagonal building with pointed arches and medieval-looking tracery, the Library of Frederick William II. In a separate building on the edge of the park, Frederick William kept more than 1,000 books. Like his royal uncle, he had the volumes bound to match the surroundings. He used green goatskin for it. Embossed on it were the initials of the place NG for the new garden. The Gothic tower was perfectly in keeping with the taste of the time. The pointed arches of the windows and the Gothic bar and tracery were revived, as were the ruins of medieval buildings, to create romantic moods. To the left of the vestibule is the entrance to another suite of rooms. These are living quarters that were reserved for the private life of Frederick William. The floor plan of the palace shows a self-contained apartment whose 3 interconnected rooms served for working, living, and sleeping. It consists of the yellow writing chamber, Frederick William's study, the green chamber, and a sleeping cabinet. The yellow writing chamber was furnished by Countess Lichtenau as a work and study room. Immediately upon entering the room, one's gaze falls upon a noble, simple-looking desk in front of the shiny yellow silk wall covering. It is made of reddish mahogany wood. A piece of furniture where letters to princes or notes on daily events, but also private mail to the mistress, the children, the wives, and the confidants from the Order of the Rosicrucians were written. Almost all the furnishings in this room are preserved in their original state, except for the silk wall coverings. The high level of the art of cabinet making promoted by Frederick William II is also evidenced by the grandfather clock from the workshop, crowned with a depiction of the god Apollo, of David Röntgen with a calendar and carillon. Röntgen did business in Paris and at the court of St. Petersburg. He delivered artistic furniture to Brussels and Berlin. Here, on December 20th, 1779, he met Crown Prince Frederick William and sold him a large art cabinet. It cost 12,000 thalers. After the death of Frederick the Great, Frederick William placed new orders. In addition to the art cabinet, other precious pieces were added, marvels of technology, famous for their extraordinarily precise workmanship, which adorned the new king's apartments. In 1786, Frederick William II ascended the Prussian throne at the age of 42. His reign was to last only 11 years. In terms of domestic policy, it was characterized by the religious edict issued shortly after his accession to the throne. The Edict of the 9th of July, 1788, tightened the Prussian state's oversight of the churches and the school system with the aim of curbing Enlightenment tendencies. In terms of foreign policy, a pan-European event decisively influenced the years of government, the French Revolution of 1789. Together with other European powers, Prussia fought against revolutionary France but was not very successful in doing so. The wars ended in shattered state finances and a military catastrophe. Their consequences included the execution of the French King Louis XVI and the separate Peace of Basel, which Prussia concluded with France. This treaty was the ground for the later conquests of Napoleon, which in the life of the next Prussian king, Frederick William III, played a decisive role.